attend a year or two. He came in a pandemic, and we knew just what to do. We welcomed him with a drive-by and a great big hullabaloo. When Andrew came to our church, we knew just what to do. But when Andrew said he was leaving, now what should we do? I know. We'll have a committee to arrange an agenda. We'll have some speeches and maybe some music arranged by Brenda. But who could be arm-twisted to be MC? Oh, now I get it. It's me. Now, Andrew. Be prepared, Andrew, because we have to follow the agenda. And the first on the agenda is a photo montage put together by Sue Zielke Ward. So you know we definitely won't be bored. wonderful, Sue. It sure brought back many happy memories. Now, Steve Oliver was on the search committee, and I'm not sure when he selected you whether he knew exactly what he was getting. Anyway, he's going to talk about some of the things that we've learned from you, and you might have learned from us. Steve Oliver.
Good morning. I'm a little nervous speaking in front of a group, but I was asked by Mary Tomlinson if I'd say a few words this morning, and she wanted to be here, but she's away at her grandson's wedding. So I said, well, as long as it's a few words. And then she proceeded to give me many. So I was only a part of the search committee, and I was probably the newest member of the church to be on a committee, so it was all new ground for me. But on the committee was Mary and Karen and Carol and Susan Murray, Bud, John, and Doug Pepper, and myself, so there was 9 of us. And I should give you a little context on how the search works these days in the United Church. You don't put an ad in the paper and get a bunch of advertisements. That doesn't work. Indeed works for some jobs, but not this one. So where we got our profiles was from the United Church of Canada had a new website at that time, and we would get profiles of ministers and look at what we had to choose from. And we'd go through, and our plan was we would pick the best 3 and shortlist them and work with them. And we found 2. And who's going to be the 3rd? And I had phoned Andrew, and he had a profile on there, and I phoned Andrew, and Andrew had said, oh, I'm sorry, no, I can't do that. I have a contract with, I forget which hospital, Scarborough General, yeah. And so no, I'm sorry, I can't consider it. So we were searching through the profiles we got together about every other week, and we were going through the profiles to see if there's any new ones. And every time we'd start looking through them, somebody'd make a comment, geez, it's too bad that one candidate's wasn't available, because he's got some pretty good credentials. And of course, time is passing by, and we'd already passed our first date that we had intended to have somebody to start. So I kind of took it upon myself, unbeknownst to the rest of the search committee, to give Reverend Andrew another call. And I said, if we were to consider changing our start date, would you consider talking to us? And he later said something about it was divine intervention, because I'm not sure if I called you on your mother's birthday or if we set the interview for your mother's birthday. Date of death, sorry. So long and the short of it, he accepted that we would have an interview. So I reported back to the crew that we finally have 3 candidates to interview, and Reverend Andrew was one of them. So then the day he came for his first interview, we'd offered to do it on Zoom, but he said, no, I'd like to come to Bobcaygeon and see where it is and see what it's all about. So as it turned out, there was a snowstorm that day. I think after you had left, after you left Toronto, it had started. And rather than come to Mary Tomlinson's house for a meeting, he managed to come here, and he actually met Sue first, and then met Reverend Bob, I believe, on the way out. He was here anyway. and then came to the house, and so he was a few minutes late, and he came in, and he's got a bunch of snow on him, and he's got his suit and tie on, and his tie was very nice, but he had these really colorful socks on, like he's wearing today. We were all so impressed, so I wore my colorful socks just to keep up with you today. So he gave us permission that we could be colorful. We were impressed with the first meeting, and we invited him for the second. We were impressed that he could quote Bible and verse without actually holding the Bible in his hand. He led us to believe he was quite musical. You'll notice that when he sings, he turns his mic off. And he was hired for July 1st, 2020, in the first year that COVID was here. And of course, Bob Cajun generally has a big Canada Day parade, so everybody was excited, and so we helped get him organized, and we had a drive-by, and then it was a different kind of a parade that year too. And you rode in the big yellow convertible supplied by Wayne and Sherry McKelvey. So, sorry, the door keeps coming open. So I've been thinking about, what I was going to say today, and I was thinking about what some of the lessons that I've learned during Reverend Andrew's tenure here. And so one of the first things I learned was what a sitar is, and I got an appreciation for some Eastern music. And then maybe one of the most important lessons I got from him was learning what the Quran is for Muslims and what the Torah is for the Jews is what the Bible is to us. And more importantly, there are many similarities and actual chapters that are the same. One God, maybe? He showed us through his travels and his modern day pictures taken the path that Jesus led his people. And that was quite interesting when they would come out. So then I got to thinking, what's some of the lessons that Reverend Andrew maybe learned from us during his time here? And I'm just kind of guessing at this, but first on the list would be kayaking, maybe? And of course, taking it to a new level, as he does with many things, learning how to do communion in a kayak. And the drone, Andrew got his wings here in Bob Cajun. I don't think he'd flown a drone prior. Not really. And showing us many aerial views of the community and delivering messages and inspirational things by his drone, which was quite interesting. And then most recently, he's learned the saxophone, of course, from us. So he's taken up learning to play, joined his first band, and as we witnessed this morning. And he always does his learning with gusto and flair, and that's appreciated. I imagine coming to his first church as an ordained minister was not without some unusual challenges. For any minister to come into a new congregation and not be able to look them in the eye or shake their hands, he rose to the occasion with gusto and flair. Although we had previously been pre-recording Sunday messages, usually on Thursdays, prior to Reverend Andrew coming, he taught us how to communicate efficiently with electronic messaging and brought us into a newer era with live streaming. And that's been very important, and we're continuing to do live streaming now. He delivered his messages and greetings to those shut-ins, as I mentioned, with his drone and reached out the best he could. And you also helped with your participation as we became an affirming church. So thank you for all that. So there'll be many fond memories of your time with us. We wish you well in your future endeavors and hope you can look back at your time here with great satisfaction and take our experiences along with you. I wanted to leave you with what would be a traditional Irish toast, but then I wondered if McPherson would be Irish or Scottish. So I did some research with the help of Google, and here's what I learned. Maybe you already know this. The name McPherson comes from a Gaelic phrase meaning son of a parson. And I thought that was quite interesting because I believe you're fourth generation minister. And I went on to learn that McPhersons were all well-known names around Aberdeenshire and Argyll, Scotland, and also in Northern Ireland. And I found that interesting because, particularly interesting, because my ancestors, the Olivers and the Stevensons, are from Scotland, and my wife's ancestors, the Junkins, are from Northern Ireland. So maybe we've crossed trails before. So as I finish, I want to leave you with this thought. May your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door. To all the days here and after, may they be filled with fond memories, happiness, and laughter. May the best day of your past be the worst day of your future. Cheers.
Thank you, Steve. That was very interesting. And now, next on the agenda is Trinity's resident poet, Reverend Walter Murray.
Well, I'm very honored to be asked to do something in poetry to celebrate the time that Andrew has had with us. And as in the past, in doing something in poetry, I usually turn to an old song or an old hymn to get rhythm and maybe even rhyme. And so I've done this, and here's what's come out. Oh dear, I believe this is a funeral poem I did. I'm sorry. No, it's the right one. But we have mixed emotions. That's the thing. Anyway, so on behalf of Trinity and Providence, I've entitled this, Andrew, It's Been Good to Know You, and based on that old song, So Long It's Been Good to Know You. Now, if I had the voice and musical training of Andrew, I'd sing this. I wouldn't hesitate. But I hesitate a little bit, but I'll try this. In the original, there's six verses, so I've repeated that. I got 6 verses, and the refrain comes all the time. Well, we'll cut back a little bit on that, but it does start with the refrain. Well, I'll see what my voice is like. I don't know. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Your short time here is the theme of our song. and we're sad you are moving along. Okay, the 6 verses, but I'll leave out some of the refrains. But hang on, because the last refrain may be different. You came to us eager, no faith did you lack. You gave First Communion right from a kayak. With COVID restrictions, you worked from your phone. On special occasions, you dropped in by drone. You walked down the street to the grocery store. It was crowded with people, the rich and the poor. You spoke to them all and you shared the good news. You listened with ears that respected their views. When church doors were closed because of COVID, you took to live streaming and lifted the lid on sharing the gospel outside of our walls. And many responded with joy and with calls. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Your short time here is the theme of our song, and we're sad you are moving along. You've sung this song and you'll sing it again, of the people you've met and the places you've been, of problems that come and can play on your mind, and a lot of good people that you've left behind. You spoke of creation that gives us all birth, and spirit in silence, in water and earth. You opened the Bible with quotes in Christ's name, and other religions that say much the same. At Trinity Church, we will miss your brave face, but seeds that you planted may blossom by grace. Your laughter and love will most surely live on, and after some darkness will come a new dawn. Andrew, it's been good to know you. Andrew, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. It's our hope you know you are never alone. May the calling of grace lead you home.
Thank you, Andrew. It's really good to know that we have a real poet who doesn't need an arm twist. Now, next on the agenda is Sue Zielke Ward, who is always willing and cheerful to help with anything that needs doing. Andrew, you don't know how lucky you have been to work with someone like Sue.
Well, at first when I was asked to speak, I said, no, I don't do goodbyes. But that night, the Lord wouldn't let me sleep until I agreed, so I wrote down a few special memories. You never say no to the Lord when he's speaking to you, right? Because I didn't want to have happen to me what happened to Jonah, because we do live against the water, you know. Well, it started 2 years ago, on July the 1st, 2020. So 2 years ago. Okay, here we go. Actually, it was before that when a young man dressed in a suit came in and was wondering if he could take a tour of the church. Well, Reverend Bob and I figured out that this Andrew McPherson was a candidate. Not too hard to figure that one out, especially when we Googled him on my computer, just for confirmation. Well, one of the adult daycare ladies got a hold of Reverend Andrew and kept petting his arm, looking adorably into his face, and saying how handsome he was. Once we pried her off of him, we knew that he would accept the position because he already had one adoring fan. And I knew he was destined for Trinity and Providence United Churches. So before his official day at work, which was on July the 1st, 2020, he wanted to do communion in the kayak and record it on Zoom so that people would be a part of the welcoming and communion. So I said, well, you can come to our place and do communion in one of our kayaks. Well, at that point, we knew this was going to be a wild and exciting ride. So I thought to myself, our new minister in an unstable kayak on moving water with expensive video equipment, communion cup, bread, cross, oh, and yes, that Canadian flag. Well, I thought to myself, sure, why not? What can go wrong? Happy to report that communion did not turn into a baptism, and because I'm sure a lot of prayers went up that day. After a quick potluck and introducing Reverend Andrew to deviled eggs, which he found lacking in spice, and I'm sure hasn't had since, we headed to the church where the search committee welcomed him with speeches, gifts, and cards. And because we were in the COVID lockdown, a drive-by was arranged so the Reverend could meet some of the people at Trinity Providence, driving past the church, which consisted of shouts of welcome, decorated cars, and signs of welcome. After all this hoopla, Reverend Andrew was placed into a convertible along with his girlfriend Sandra and proceeded in a Congo line of cars, joining the Bob Cajun July 1st parade. Unbeknownst to Reverend Andrew, I had my husband Patrick blow up over 50 balloons, poor guy, which we distributed in his office along with banners welcoming him to Trinity and Providence. It truly was a day of first and celebration. Well, on Monday, reality hit home. We were in COVID lockdown, the doors were locked, and COVID running rampage with no vaccines in sight. But Reverend Andrew was not deterred and came up with ingenious and unique ways to contact and meet people. Phone calls were made, emails, cards sent, mini newsletters created, and introductions on the Zoom coffee time. He met people where they were at. Our masked Reverend introduced himself on the streets of Bob Cajun, in grocery stores, wherever people were, and invited them to join him for Sunday services on YouTube. Another way he met people was through his flying of his drone with a cross attached to it, which he hovered over people's windows. Yeah, that's not weird. One example was Lorraine Button at Pinecrest, and she in turn held up notes to the window for him to read. He had quite a few adventures meeting people that way. One day, his drone got away from him, and he came down on the other side of the lake, and he thought, well, maybe it's gone forever. But nope. He turned it into a meet and greet scavenger hunt. He visited people's houses, asked if they had seen his drone, introduced himself as being the minister at Trinity in Providence, and invited them to join church services on YouTube, and somehow got them searching for the drone as well. He certainly is a man with great charisma, ingenuity, and energy. And by the way, the drone was found. Now let us swipe right, and let me tell you what really happened behind closed doors. When we were only allowed 5 people in the entire building at one time, we all needed to be multitaskers. We took on many jobs we had not done before. Reverend Andrew taught me how to operate the cameras and set the stage. At the beginning, I took on the job of getting communion set up for Reverend Andrew, and of course, there were a couple of incidences. Well, one of these incidences happened when I got out the flatbread and grape juice for communion that day. Got things set up and took my place behind the camera. As Reverend Andrew picked up the flatbread, I noticed there were green fuzzy spots on the back of it. Oh no! What to do? We were filming. I tried to make little signals, but it didn't work. So he continued on with communion like a real pro, and nothing fazed him. Later, I also realized that the grape juice had turned somewhat into wine. But thankfully, Reverend Andrew is very adaptable and able to go with the flow. And I think that's also why you never got COVID, because I gave you the true penicillin. So you're welcome. Another time was when I got carried away with work and didn't realize the time until about 10 minutes before recording, and it was communion. I ran into the kitchen and pulled out of the freezer frozen bun, and I heated it up in the microwave, well, actually overheated it, and did not realize it until during the breaking of the bread. Reverend Andrew had to dig his nails into the bread, and in doing so, the crumbs shot up all into the air all over the place. It was like manna from heaven. But again, that did not faze him, although that was the last time I was responsible for looking after the communion. Oh, and just to let you know, we really, really appreciate our wonderful volunteers, because without our volunteers, the church would simply not exist. You play a great part in that. Reverend Andrew, you live your faith, testifying when it isn't popular to do so, such as at the Toronto Blue Jays and Maple Leaf games. By talking to people sitting next to you during these games, you talk about God's love and holding the plaques you create at the games. Even when you had one of your signs taken away because it was deemed religious, you continue to spread the love and words of God to the masses. Matthew, this is one verse I learned from you and had it memorized. Matthew 22, verses 37 to 39. Jesus answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second most important commandment is love your neighbor as you love yourself. I always look forward to the recordings for the Sunday services that we actually did on Thursday, because there were a lot of encouragement, laughter, and joy, and you could sense the Spirit moving. It certainly has been a wild and exciting ride working with you during COVID and beyond. You will be missed. Just remember, Reverend Andrew, you can't please everyone, so just be yourself and aim to please and serve the Lord, because in the end, that is the only thing that will count. It was a pleasure to work with you, going up and beyond traditions to new and exciting adventures. I would like to leave you with this Bible verse, Acts 20, verse 24. I consider my life worth nothing to me. My only aim is to finish the race and complete the task the Lord Jesus has given me, the task of testifying to the good news of God's grace.
Thank you so much, Sue. Now we know a little bit about the real Reverend Andrew, and I sure hope that Grace Church knows what to expect. Now, John Beck doesn't really need any introduction to the people of Trinity. He probably knows more about our church and our town than anybody. John Beck.
pretty heavy, so I'm not going to lift it many times. Can I just leave it here for a minute? Well, I have to say a few words to you. If you know me, I'll try to be few. I'm going to summarize what a lot of people have said here today. And Andrew, I'm going to use some S words to do it. Safe words and saxy words and song words and socky words. Our first impression of Andrew, as we've heard, came when he took his boots off at the first interview on a snowy day in Bobcaygeon, and there he had socks that we called right from the beginning. You've all heard the term shock and awe. Well, we said sock and awe. And I think we knew he's going to be a fit right from the beginning. And then the next S word is Sturgeon Lake, and we've all heard the references to the kayaking and to the almost capsizing communion. I don't think you capsized, but you made quite a splash anyway. The other S are your services that you had to provide at a time when we were all locked down, not knowing how we were going to do this. And then under strict conditions and under some severe situations, you evolved into streaming, live streaming, and I think we all would agree that your skills really helped us survive. I don't know how we could have survived those first few months without your technical skills. And then we've heard about your sky views. In the 160 years that this Trinity Church has been here, we've never seen so many shots from above. And whether that was God working, whether it was Andrew just making us try to lift up our spirits, but it really made a difference. And I think it helped us to get through the worst parts of the pandemic, as you told us we would do. And the other S is a personal one. Andrew came to my farm a couple times to do snowshoeing. I think they were debuts on his part. Were skates, but he managed to stay up on his feet most of the time, and possess that sort of fearless attribute that he has of always chartering new territory. And he taught us that a lot. And we all know that his sermons have been delivered almost spontaneously, although I'm sure there was a lot of preparation, but the notebook wasn't near him. He kept projecting himself to us directly, and he highlighted a lot of the stories of the Old Testament that many of us perhaps had not heard of for a long time, and gave a lot of examples, as we've heard, from other spiritual sources, which were very stimulating for us. Then there's the special seating. Lately, you've been really made a big deal out of this special front row seating that you offer so freely. But as you know, I think he's reached out to all of us, whether we're here or whether we're out there and afar, whether we're in a nursing home, whether we're in the hospital. Andrew, you've been here for us. So while I've used a lot of S words, sermons and special seating and snowshoeing and Sturgeon Lake and socks, you really saved the day for us. And for Trinity and Providence, with your sense of humor, your dedication to inclusiveness and diversity, and most of all, for spreading the love of Jesus among us here and in this whole community. I think we thank you a lot, and we wish you so well. And I don't know how many leaves are in this box, but it's heavy. And they've even provided another S word, scissors. Yes, please. I'm in suspense now. sure you wasn't going to pop out of there.
Let's see what's in the box. Something good. Oh, wow, look at this. Wow, oh my
Lift
gosh.
it up and I'll take the
Wow,
box.
oh my gosh, look at this. Beautiful. A big thank
So
you.
keep on howling there, young fella.
Thank
Aye.
you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Beautiful. Very, very, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is musician Brenda.
Andrew in the Cajun, Andrew at the locks, Andrew all dressed up now, wearing fancy socks. Andrew gives communion on the water too. Joyful news he's bringing, what next will he do? Andrew in the winter, Andrew in the fall, Andrew in the springtime, answering God's call. His sermon delivery as amazing, yes. We love our Andrew, he is just the best. Andrew is a trooper with energy to burn. We are very thankful for the lessons learned. He shows everyone how to be a friend, loving, caring, joyful to the very end. Andrew loves technology, he is such a pro. Oh, another gadget, and then Dave says, oh no! Patience is a virtue, teamwork is the key. Andrew advocates to all as you could plainly see. Andrew playing sticks, Andrew clapping hands, Andrew playing sax, we need to start a band. Andrew at piano and sometimes tambourine, giving joy and laughter, such sights we've never seen. Andrew on a mission, Andrew giving back. He is just so busy, he needs to relax. So he goes a-traveling, the mighty Jordan rolls, floats upon the Dead Sea, reading as he goes. Andrew at the Raptors, poster in his hand, likes to spread the love of Jesus in this land. We will miss our Andrew as onward he will go. Blessed we are to have him, that we surely know. Now once again our Andrew has listened to God's call. He is going forth, spreading joy to all. So we wish our Andrew blessings and Godspeed. Joyful folks like Andrew is what our world needs.
think we're going to give you a chance to speak, Andrew. It's all yours. Yeah.
Would you like to say a few words? The emphasis is on few.
Yeah, I will.
And when you've finished, we'll be singing the Going Out song, and then we're all going into Trinity Hall for some refreshments. And I've heard that there's going to be cake by Nicolette, and some other things too. And Brenda, if his few words get a little out of hand, just start playing the song.
Okay.
Thank you this was unexpected for me. I'm really overwhelmed with joy to all of you. Okay, I want to say a special thank you to all of you, whether it's here, you're listening online. I'm really overwhelmed. I'm very grateful. You can also welcome my family. Could never actually bring my mom and dad here physically in the sanctuary, but they are here in another form with the sacred text, with the Bibles. Both sides of my family. And I'm really grateful for all of you to helping me learn, grow, mature in my pastoral identity as I take forth the gospel message. And now I really finally understand why. This was the first time before this service, David asked me, Andrew, if you could keep the sermon a little short on Sunday. Okay, now I get why he said that. Now I didn't know at the time, but now it makes sense. So a special thank you, and my final word in conclusion, it means, I will translate, the soul in me recognizes the soul in you. Namaste.